Welcome. Thank you so much for having us.
Hey, thanks for being here.
This is an awesome place that we're in right now. This brings back a lot of memories that we're here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the doghouse. Kind of opened itself up in 1999.
1999.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's when we first moved into the doghouse. We were here for 3 years before, but when the room came open, yeah, we turned it into actually 1996. They shut it down. They were going to use it for storage. It was condemned.
Really?
Yeah, and I was teaching junior alternate.
Yeah.
And big thing with those young guys is, they like to exercise and whatnot. So we came in here and turned it into a little weight room. We were using the auto lift as a squat rack.
Yeah.
And we went to a muffler shop and got some welded and got some odds and ends for bars and whatnot.
This is a very Barsby-like football story.
Yeah. And so, painted her up inside here, and it was a weight room. And when they remodeled the school in 1999, the dance room turned into a weight room, and this turned into the football room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, it went from being a condemned building to what it is now, a doghouse, and it's where generations upon players have gotten changed, got ready for practice and whatnot. Who kind of helped you with that transition? Because I'm sure there's probably a bit of a fight for it.
For this?
Yeah, if they're thinking that they're just going to get rid of the building.
No, we pride ourselves on initiative. So we zeroed in on the place and just said, we're going to take care of business and ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah,
so that's what we did,
yeah. That's awesome.
First at the stake, wins, right?
Yeah, we went right in there, did a great thing, and nobody's going to stop you now. Don't fix what's not broke.
It was a good idea, and it was serving people, right?
Yeah,
and the leadership we had at the time, administratively, they're all about making the school a better place, and we were doing something to make it better. So Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, asking for permission is always ask for forgiveness instead of asking for permission.
Sometimes, right?
Sometimes.
It's a calculated risk, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Do it for a good reason, and most, make sure your boss knows most of the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
That's some good life advice.
Just jump right into it. That's what we did with the Strat O Cast. We had no idea what we were doing. We just jumped right in there. I wanted to do something we were passionate about. Trying to learn as we go, right? But it's a good thing. We're trying to do the right thing, get better as we go, everything that you taught us, for sure.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, this was about 8 months in production for us. It started as we were listening to the Joe Rogan podcast. So really, I think it's the #1 podcast on Apple Music. So it's a pretty popular one. And this was just, everything always starts as an idea, right? So it started as, we're pretty funny. Maybe we can do something here.
I've been told we're funny.
And then Strat's got the camera and we got the equipment and we started just little videos that were getting interrupted by people at the door. It was just an effort to put creative content out there. And that kind of reminds me of what I wanted to ask was, how did this thing really start up, the whole John Barsby football program? Where were you prior to all this happening?
Well, it goes into a lifetime dissertation on football, but always loved football since I was a little boy.
Yeah.
Started coaching community football when I returned to Nanaimo when I was 21 years old. Here with football in Nanaimo.
Yeah.
Did 3 years. Started a little junior band team over at Robbins Park. I did 3 years here with football in Nanaimo, and transitioned over to University of Victoria as part of my college pursuits.
Okay.
And continued to coach over there in Victoria with the Saanich Wolverines.
Okay.
And then I spent the year up north teaching in one-room school, and came back and was coaching in Redmond.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we won the '95 championship.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. That was a good group of guys.
Yeah.
Right? Great coaches, great players. And then in 1996, a friend of mine named Ron Cothra that I coached with up football in Nanaimo, he was working for BC Tel, and he said he caught wind that Mount Doug was looking at starting up a team. There's probably the granddaddy of Island football, a guy named Roy Vollinger, who was real successful in the community stuff for decades. Was moving over from the Victoria Spartans over to the high school, so we weren't going to let old Mount Doug steal the thunder. And it's always been a dream to coach high school football, right?
Yeah, of course.
And it dovetailed nicely with my career as that was starting out as a teacher. So that February, we went to Dover Bay. We went to John Barsby. Dover said no.
Those are the two schools you went to.
And
wow.
Barsby said, yeah. Mr. Ray Coker said, I'm prepared to support this.
That's amazing.
And so we just threw ourselves into it,
Okay.
And that's how it got started.
Who was like the starting coaching
Yeah,
staff
there
on
was-
that? Like, because you must have had to pull some people from all your different avenues of coaching on the island. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so our coaching staff that first spring was Ron. He had to move on career-wise in the fall that year over to Victoria. But Ron was there. Coach Jeremy Kahn from Bolinas.
Yes, Coach.
We were wondering if he was there.
The freeze play man.
Yeah, and Coach Kahn, he was just a great competitor, a keener, loved football when he was a player. I was fortunate enough to work with him when I was originally starting out.
Wow.
And he had graduated high school and was coaching some junior bantam and just loved the game. And so I said, hey, you want to help me start a program? And he said, yep. And so Coach Kahn was in there. There was Coach Santino De Toro, he's a police officer over now in North Vancouver, but he'd grown up in Nanaimo, playing in the program here, the community program. He came over to help. He was going through his, early university stuff. He got his teaching degree, and then he switched over to decide he wanted to be a police officer later on in life. There's a man in here named Mr. John Young. He was our junior alternate teacher.
Yeah.
So he played a little bit in Saskatchewan, and he was going to help us out. And, the greatest person in my experience, one of the greatest people in football at this school, was our school liaison officer at the time. It was Constable Leith Lynch.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out in the courtyard here at lunch, and he's coming out of the side door over by the dumpsters there. And he's looking me up and down. I'm looking him up and down. And I said, you ever play football? And he said, yeah, I did. I said, you want to help me coach? And he says, yeah, I'd like to do that.
Sweet.
And
That's
I
amazing.
think he's been with you for like 20 years.
22, 23 years,
Yeah.
And, he's just a life dad to me,
Totally.
Yeah.
Just a guy that I admire everything about him. I've never heard a cross word from him.
Yeah.
I think it took 15 years before I heard him swear.
Yeah.
And probably at me. but just, super guy. So we got it all together and started rolling,
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Filled with a bunch of super guys, man. Like, I wanted to talk a lot about like Larry and Randy.
Yeah.
And when they jumped on board and what their role and like maybe some like your best memories were like it's been like 10 years with Larry for sure. He's been not only in the high school but he's been in the South Side program with the JBs, the Pee-wees. That's where I started with him.
Yeah.
And he's been a super just like you, huge life-changing figure.
Oh,
Like when did he hop on board?
so Larry's role, you can't sit here for a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes and try to describe it. He's integral to this program. Heart and soul of it, I call it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've known Larry before Larry started playing football. So,
Oh, wow.
I spent some time as a soldier down in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, in the 82nd Airborne, and I'd come home on leave. And I was the oldest of two younger brothers. So,
Yeah.
I took off when I was just out of high school. And my brothers, my brother Todd was in grade 10 here at John Barsby, and my brother Nate was in grade 8 here. And so they were kind of Barsby kids. Cool. And I'd come home on leave, and, we lived over on McCleary Street, and my little brothers would be playing with their friends, so to speak, and the back alley there, it was on. Like, they were always playing hockey or
Sweet.
riding skateboards or trying to knock each other off
Couple
the skateboards.
broken bones
all
happening
that,
back there, I'm
Just
sure.
fists
Yeah.
throwing-
all the free range kid stuff, right? And Larry was friends with my younger brothers and Randy. And
Awesome.
So I knew him then, and then when I got back, on Christmas leaves or whatnot, we'd play football over at not Robbins Park, Gyro Park.
Oh, okay, yeah,
over
yeah.
on McCleary there, and
Yep.
everybody would play on Christmas morning, and then you'd go stand out there, and your mom would hose you down, and you go in inside and eat the turkey, right? But we'd all play with everybody's friends. When I got here, I started coaching in '88. About 1989, I started a band team on the south end, and Larry was one of the first kids out for it, right?
Really?
Randy was a bit older; he was already playing.
Yeah.
And so we had that relationship. They wound up coaching up in football in Nanaimo for, probably 8-9 years.
Wow.
And it was the end of spring 1999 or early fall 1999. Coach Con and I were just sitting out here in front of the doghouse. It would have been the fall, and like August. And Coach Cooper walked up and asked if we wanted to have needed a hand. And I said, yeah. So, right away took over our linebackers on the defensive side and quickly evolved to what he's done with not just the Barsby program, but Southside since then, right?
Yeah.
And so we're talking 20 years, right? 19, 20 years.
Yeah, and growing up too, and just like knowing them on a personal relationship, the life before football sort of deal.
They're great people, great family. Like it's a football family, their wives are tremendously supportive. Mom, Larry and Randy's mother and grandmother, they run our concessions and they bleed red and black, right?
Yeah,
totally. So, yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, and Randy in his way, like they've spent a lot of time because they had young kids at the time, so they spent a lot of time. We started about 2003 with the flag ball and the peewees and stuff here as a project of Barsby football before it was Southside, and it was the Cooper brothers that ran that.
Definitely. He won the Mighty Bowl, right?
That's where I started. Playing flag football, won the Mighty Bowl eventually. Red team. A good omen, if you will.
The Red Raiders.
Didn't really end up ever losing until like junior bantam. So that was a good time. We were pretty awesome that day. And then all of us ended up winning with in high school too. So we were just ended up being a badass bunch of guys. Just a badass bunch.
Yeah, well, you represented well over the years, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It's a good community that you built, man. Like those Larry and all his mom, everybody what they've done together is awesome. Like there was one point here at Barsby where everybody was fighting with other high schools. There were turf wars every day. Like were you a part of that? Did you see what
were you a part of those turf wars?
Were you biting ears off and stuff?
No.
Mike Tyson style?
No, Nanaimo's grown so much over the last 3 decades, right? But it's also had many years of history, and,
of course.
As all cities go, you get a lot of suburbia happening, and you got your blue collar districts, and then people that are a bit less fortunate or whatever, like the old town, right? The wrong side of the tracks or whatever, right? Perception wise, I don't believe that stuff. But anyway, it was a tough neighborhood, and before football got here, I'll have to say it, the place kind of looked like Beirut, the height of the Lebanon Civil War, right? It was pretty rough and tumble. Yeah. Good people, and it had its codes and whatnot, and a solid culture though, right? Yeah. Good folks, and me coming into this place, I had to do a ton of learning, and it was one of those deals where you got to earn your piece of dirt. You don't just walk in all swagger and think it's going to be bells and roses, right? So. It was tough, and you get something big like a football program. All sports are great. I love all sports. I think they're all cousins. They're all hips and thighs. They got a lot of the same ethos and whatnot. But a football program, there's just so many seats at the table, and for all different body types. And somebody's always got something to offer.
That's what I love the most, for sure.
Yeah, and then it got some traction. But there was strong rugby here, great basketball. Mr. McDonald was doing great with the basketball. Mr. LeBlanc, the rugby coach, had a great program and was really supportive of the football coming in.
Yeah, Barsby's already been really prestigious for sports programs through and through, whether it's volleyball or everything. Like that was something I remember being at Dover Bay for my first year, hearing a lot of John Barsby. If athletics is something that interests you, they're a small school, but they really pride themselves in this stuff.
It hits over its weight. Yeah.
It's with the football program, it probably instilled a lot of culture in the Harewood community. The kids wearing their jerseys on game days. You see these kids walking around carrying their shoulder pads to practice. You're seeing so much football
from miles away.
Like Stratz lives at the top of Holly Hill. He can hear Cooper and Randy screaming all the time. So going forward, you've set so many trends, throughout the last 2 decades. Things are innovating a lot with technology. What trends are you looking to set for the John Barsby football program?
Don't want to set any trends. Just going back a bit with your original statement, we added to culture. We didn't build it, so to speak. There was a great, like I said, culture here. Maybe you call it fertile dirt, and we were a seed, another seed, right? Yeah. Okay. And what when we're talking about where we want to go from here, I think we got to look back to what we started with, which was our core values, right? And so going forward in the next 5 years, hopefully we could just take our soul, so to speak, that which drives us from within, our shared ideas and vision, and build on that and strengthen it. And every year it's a different group of kids, different group of people. Like if you're building cookies, someone just threw a whole bunch of different ingredients on there, right? But if you've got a good recipe, like your beliefs, you can put it together with its own flavor. It's maybe a little different, but you want to maximize what you are inside. And that's where we want to go.
Yeah, you can't survive your team's culture for strategy.
Yeah.
Right? So that's very important, definitely.
Yeah, you got good ingredients. Everybody that comes in gets good ingredients. They get thrown into that weight room program right away. Everybody in other high school in town, you show up to them and you're from Barsby, and you're like, oh yeah, you're from Barsby, I can tell you're fucking huge. Every time, everybody will always say that. It's the guys here get strong early on, and there's just a good foot up on the other competition and stuff like that. It's a good program.
Yeah, it's a pyramid, right? You're gonna have your physical self, you're gonna have your spiritual self, your technical selves. You're gonna have, are we wearing the best gear we can put on our backs? Of course. And then how do we practice, right? Because anything you do on the game field is something you've been doing long before you ever got there.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So, it's a good kit, right? The whole program itself, though, if you could take this building, the doghouse or the school or the weight room or the fields, that's an empty building. It's nothing until you put the people inside, right? And so I'd call it like a church. It's just an empty building till the people come in there, and then we got to get some religion, right?
Place of worship.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a good point too. Like when I came to John Barsby, the school wasn't really highlighted, and that's kind of unfortunate because going to a couple different schools, Barsby was the best school ever. I love the teachers. Everyone was amazing.
The cafeteria program.
The cafeteria program. Chef Bruce Chandler has done so much. Like I worked in the restaurant industry, so I had the pleasure. Yeah, definitely. I had the pleasure of working with so many kids that feel to the same level of how my program affected me to how Chef's program affected them. So what I kind of wanted to ask is, what are a lot of the behind the scenes work that the faculty has done to support the program, which I know is plenty and you can't highlight all of it, but if there's anything that stood out.
Well, it started with that first day that we came here. It was February 27th. I think we came into existence, so it would have been early February when I came and spoke to Mr. Ray Coker, the principal, and we gave him a plan, and our final words were, we're just looking for the free opportunity and freedom to try.
Yeah.
Okay. And think about those words. Like, give me a chance to try.
Yeah.
Okay. Give us a chance to try. So, like, the administrations, credit rolls downhill, right? And it starts up top. And with the administration giving its staff and its students the space and the faith and the belief in their ability to try.
Yeah.
Right. And make mistakes, but give you some guidance and support you. If you've got a good idea on its merits, that's what's really neat about this building, and it's been continuous. Really, when I go to work every day, I'm just thankful I go to work here because you walk through the doors and there's a bunch of people being their best, working with people passionately. We got a big play coming up here with our theater program. Yeah. And, I've sat there blinking at my computer after work, and I can hear them rehearsing. And it's the sound of angels over there. Like they're singing, and they're building their stagecraft and their platform to do what they do. And, if they're doing good at that, we're doing good at what we do. We've got a big study hall that goes on. Our chef programs, our basketball is phenomenal. So many girls volleyball is really cooking. There's a plucky little group of sevens rugby guys, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
People take themselves seriously. They like what they do. They do it with enthusiasm, and the students respond, right?
Yeah.
And they're great students. Every one of them's got a talent.
Totally. Sure. Every one of them does have a talent. It's just hard for everybody to find it these days, but they definitely have. There's lots of jewels in the school for sure. Yeah. Super unique guys in the school. Barsby in particular. I went to a few high schools, but when I came here, everybody was super different. Was not afraid to be themselves. Yep. Which is awesome.
Yeah, and what you just said it like it's finding your talent, right? Well, that's a big thing in life,
for sure.
Because everybody's like, what am I supposed to do? What am I going to be? What's my career? What's my purpose, right? Yeah. Well, do what you love, and doors will open for you, right? Just find your bliss. Find something you like, and don't look down the road and say, how much money am I going to make? How much recognition am I going to get, et cetera. Do what you love, and pretty soon you find that there's other people who are doing something similar, all right, that like the similar thing, just like you do with your podcast, right? And hidden hands will help you. Like things will lift you up. You're gonna find a real zen out of it. And if you like something, it's probably your hidden genius.
Yeah, you said
you're good at it.
Yeah, 100%.
I've been talking a lot about that when holding people up. Like basically, if you like something and you're pursuing it, the universe will just try to like guide you down that road. It like kind of like give you reminders saying, yes, you are on the right path. Keep doing that. Stuff like that's happened to me a lot recently, especially with like starting this right away. Right as I started this, I ran into a bunch of people that were doing a similar thing. Ran into my friend Parker Bowles, who's behind the camera right now. Shout out. There you go. He's an awesome guy. You know, he's been doing lots of creative stuff online, trying to make stuff like this, content, creative, passionate content. So we partnered together. He actually started his own company. He's the founder of Bishop's Media, which is fantastic. It's an awesome organization, awesome company that we're trying to do lots of great things. Similar to your program, we're really inspired from it, and similar programs throughout the community. We're working with this bookstore downtown, the literacy center downtown.
Yeah.
It's been there for 20 years. You
Great
probably
group of
are
people
aware of
down
it.
there. Yeah.
Fantastic group of people, Coach. We went in there. We talked about you. They told us all the stuff that you were doing, all the stuff that they were doing. They're teaching people how to read in their basement. It's I can't even believe that we stumbled across it. We rolled in there. It's a great building, like the doghouse. You just want to stay in there, read a book or whatever, and help people. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to help them help more people.
Oh, you know, by giving. When you start giving, you start living, you know?
Yeah.
Like you really do.
Yeah, big time.
You know, what did Shakespeare, one of my favorite sonnets of his, is he said, love gives and lust takes. Think about that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Big time.
Giver or taker. And folks that give, that's love, and love empowers more love.
Yeah.
And lust is all selfishness, etc., right? And you know, me, that stuff.
Yeah.
No time for that, right?
Yeah.
And so those people right there, they're living it, and just the fact that you're acknowledging them right now, the word should be put out there because it's great stuff and it builds Nanaimo, right?
Totally.
And you're talking about the threads that link.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here in a football room talking about a group of people that are helping folks read.
Yeah,
That's
crazy.
Reading, that's life changing. That changed civilization.
Yeah, 100%.
It's empowering.
Yeah.
It's like the power of the printing press is what I feel like almost like the power of these podcasts are going to be in like 10 years down the road.
Well, it's exponential.
It's exponential, exactly, right? No one, otherwise, like, there would never be a day where I'd be like, Coach, come to the doghouse, sit down with me for 40 minutes and talk.
No.
Do it. That would never happen if we weren't doing this.
We'd probably be sitting around some...
Actually, it might, because I'm sure we've done that in the past.
We'd probably be sitting around a campfire telling stories like people have done for the last 300,000 years as Homo sapiens,
absolutely.
right? And that's how we pass stuff on, and then it's just your oral tradition. Nothing's written, and a lot of it dies with people, right?
Yeah. Everybody's reading it on a screen, scrolling with their fingers.
Yeah.
It's a quickening, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just it. The internet's only been around for 25 years. Like you said, Homo sapiens, 200,000 to 300,000. And it's like very small, like minuscule on a calendar little piece of time that we're living in with the internet. And we have the ability to reach out and, give good influence. Like you've had your John Barsby football vlog for quite some time and stuff like that. So it's just amazing how many people you can reach out to and, you give value to.
Well, it's democratizing it, and, the internet's got its definitely drawbacks too, right?
Yeah, definitely.
People can be anonymous. If somebody has a good idea, a lot of people don't stop and listen to it. It's shoot down, break them down. Like all the, some of the bad parts of Facebook.
Yeah, for sure.
But on the other side, it's very democratizing and empowering.
Yeah,
so, totally.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time. Have you been watching? What are you watching these days? Like, what are you up to?
What do I watch? Well,
have you watched any Black Mirror? Have you seen that show?
No, I've seen it once.
It's a good show, Coach.
Yeah. You got so much time over Target in life, right?
Oh yeah, big time.
It's hard for me to watch TV too. Trust me.
But so I was getting pretty stovepipe. Like I was just watching a couple shows, some college football, some Vikings, of course, right?
College football's a good time.
And it would be at that, the usual annoying CNN, back and forth stuff. But
CNN, Fox.
Then this creature named Netflix came into my life.
Yeah.
So
here we go.
I'll tell you, I'm coming to school red-eyed a lot because I'm binge watching till 3 in the morning. you know, it's like the kid that gets to eat candy the first time. They ain't going to stop till he throws up, right? So that's what I've been doing.
What's on Netflix that I wanted to show you? It's Black Mirror. That's why I asked. Did you watch any of them?
I watched one, but that's not necessarily my shtick. I've never been the Twilight Zone guy.
It's not Twilight Zone. It's going to happen in like 5 years from now.
Some of it will.
Stratz is like
a good show.
Really big time on. I'll come visit, and I only am in Nanaimo for 2 days because I'm traveling for work. It'll be like a whole 48 hours, and Stratz will be really on me about like, Bruce, you got to watch this, you got to watch this, you got to watch that, and so on. It's like you just got to let people watch what they want to watch.
We were talking about Black Mirror. However, you don't watch it. Well, but it's good. It's a good show. That's all I gotta say. But
and maybe I haven't given it a chance. You know, I looked at one episode. And
give it a chance, Coach.
Probably a richer experience than I saw.
Yeah. Was it the first episode you watched? The very first one?
I think so.
That one, yeah.
That's a weird one.
That one's a little.
It's a little weird for you, Coach. That might not be your shtick.
However,
the rest of them is much more up your shtick.
Are you a documentary kind of guy?
Yeah, I love history.
Yeah.
History, geography, or the smoke, right?
Of course.
Yeah, 100%.
So anything that's a drama that's history based and has, you know, some slivers of truth because everybody takes liberties with it, right?
For sure.
That's fun.
What was your favorite like era to study about or read about, learn about?
Wow.
I know. What a loaded question.
No, it's kind of like mood swings, historical mood swings, right? So history's always been passion in my family, right? Absolute passion in reading. And, you know, I love paleo history in North America, like, you know, pre-Columbian history and then like the real old stuff. Love, you know, military history, like that a lot, particularly, you know, Eastern Front, World War II, love that. Reading about it, you know, it was a real tragedy. But, you know, you take your pick. There's some, all eras have had great,
they're cool,
great stories to them, right? You know, the Romans are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
You know, American history is very, very interesting to me, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty rounded.
Yeah, you go through the swings and you get really fascinated in this one time period and super dive into it, and then something else comes up.
Yeah, you can even catch yourself if you got a real good author, kind of using their euphemisms or changing your language a little bit, talking the way you've been reading, right? And then you, what are you doing?
All right, now go left.
But it's informative, you know.
Yeah.
It's so informative. Like our story as a species. If we don't know where we've been, boy, we got troubles.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's the big thing is you know you can't forget.
Yeah,
you can't forget that.
If we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it. And seriously, that's a thing.
And
it'll rhyme, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, with the amount of information we have out there, it's nice because it's all available to us, but it's really difficult because it's a lot of overload. There's a lot of things to take in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And so, follow your bliss. Like, what do you like about it?
Yeah. You can be a little bit. You can ignore what you want to and just follow what you want to, right? Too as well. Yeah. And that's more important. Just focus on the things that you like. You don't gotta get bogged down by all that nonsense.
No, not at all.
Okay, one thing I wanted to go back into, and I know I've done this a couple times, about Vikings. Okay, spoilers. I mean, okay, how did you feel when Ragnar died?
All things come to an end. I mean, it's. Vikings is based on an interpretation, a fairly accurate interpretation of their history. They condensed a lot of things. It wasn't sequential the way it happened in Vikings, obviously, but the characters, they're from the sagas, which are a set of stories, right?
Yeah.
So, Ragnar died at some point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but
it was sad.
His legacy, in that place was his sons, and
it's a cool show.
What they were going to do. Yeah, well, the thing that got me with that show when it first came out, it was different than anything I'd seen on television because they'd studied the ethnography. Yeah. They'd studied the culture, how the value systems, the religion.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't modeled like today's perceptions of how people act. Like they researched it, so it was really authentic.
Yeah.
The pagan values, like we're brought up, whether we're practicing or not, on a Judeo-Christian mindset.
Yeah.
And just looking at it through that perspective, you can still see, like people woke up 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago. They're just as smart as you and I. They woke up with bad breath in the morning. They had to pull down their pants to pee, but they were us.
Yeah.
Right? And what they had around them. They made the best they could with, in most sense of their world with what they had around them.
Yeah.
So it's just fun to watch. You know?
People should be people should recognize that stuff and be thankful, thank their ancestors for literally where we are today, because it's insane to forget about that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
they laid the groundwork.
It was just
deal.
the other day, basically. It was literally just the other day.
I like your use of the word thankful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So think how old the universe is. Okay. About 13.79 billion. Plus or minus 21 million years. That's what they think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Earth is 4.74 billion years old. Okay. Humans, like when we speciated from Homo erectus, like these guys were upright, pretty smart guys, made tools, used fire, etc.
Yeah.
But when we speciated into modern Homo sapiens, it was between 200,000 and 300,000 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
And that would be like your Neanderthals, people that look a lot like you and I, Denisovans. And those little guys in Indonesia,
what are they called?
Yeah,
Florensis. Florensis, they're the Hobbit people, right?
Homo florensis, something like that.
Yeah.
So there was probably at least 4 modern people walking around the last 300,000 years.
And then there's Bigfoot.
Yeah. So, but on that point of being thankful, the average lifespan, if we're being liberal, is 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, about 30 years.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so if you go from 300,000 years ago, that's 10,000 generations of people.
Yeah.
Okay, now think of the infant mortality, human predation, droughts, floods, disease,
Acts of God.
predators, all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bigfoot.
And you're here right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Those genes got here. There's Brennan Bruce, there's Ryan Stratton, there's Parker Bowles.
Yeah.
You guys are a walking, living, breathing miracle.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
thankful.
Yeah.
And it's like 400 trillion to 1 that we're
Well,
in
yeah,
the first place.
that's one of the speakers I listen to. His name's Gary Vaynerchuk. He just always goes off about how much gratitude you should express for every single day you have, because the fact you're even here is just such a miracle.
Yeah.
Just such a miracle, and we're the only not intelligent species, but truly intelligent species that roams this planet that can put in infrastructure for us to take advantage over generations of trial and error.
Yeah, you can do good with what you know, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's been, even just 100 years ago, PD and I were talking about BC Hydro and the safety standards. 1 in 2 people would die.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're gonna be 1 in 2. So if me and Coach are BC Hydro, one of us is gonna die at the job on some point.
Or just 2 and me.
The job hasn't changed very much over the way they go about doing the job.
Yeah.
But it's those years of trial and error that lead up to the safety.
To being safe.
Yeah, and and that's how it was with this guy's falling off mountains, throughout human evolution.
Oh, yeah.
And now we have seatbelts on our cars, so.
All part of the same story there, right?
Yeah.
What's the average Canadian live to be? 80? 80
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. So how old are you guys?
21.
22.
All right.
Coach, you're making.
So
old. I'm so
it's
old.
a quarter of it's done if you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And the law's averages don't get you. So use the ground under your feet right now, man.
Yeah.
Be who you got to be. Follow your bliss.
No kidding.
Again, I'm assuming you haven't seen Black Mirror, but I don't think I'm going to die ever.
Yeah. I got
They're going to come out with some pretty cool stuff here pretty quick.
Some robotic
I'll
augmentation.
take that hint. We got summer coming up here. So the days are long and the nights are short, so we'll watch them.
Yeah, do that for sure.
Okay.
Maybe we could watch one together, Coach.
There's some interesting stuff, Coach.
You can't say no. It's
do it.
on camera.
Do some
Yeah.
notes. Take some
I'm open.
notes.
I'm open. I'll try.
We'll do a podcast episode about Black Mirror because you're going to come on again, right? We're gonna do this again.
Are we? Okay.
Are we? Yeah, I'm asking you. Yeah, we're definitely gonna do it again if you liked it. But yeah,
Okay.
we'd love to come back and do it again.
Sure.
Hopefully, you can open up the doghouse for us.
Oh, do anything you guys need to do. Anything we can do to get better.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Like I said, you were like our first guest. We only had like one with you, one with Logan, and then there you are reaching out to us. We couldn't have
an
been
honor.
more stoked.
That's neat. I'm stoked.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
fun
glad
to
you're
talk.
stoked.
Yeah.
Don't talk to a lot of folks, so that's neat.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people in the community were pretty like Parker was hyping it up all around the JB practice and everything. And the way we kind of saw it is every parent that's wanted to sit down with you and talk with you because you're working with their kids so much and they're going to be working with them throughout the high school program, not only at the school level but also throughout the football program, obviously. Everyone that's wanted to have a good long conversation with you. And maybe you've been busy or they're busy, they can finally hear what you have to say. It's, kind of get to know who you are.
I think obviously all our lives are so busy and we're different places, different times, etc. The ability to converse it's a real treasure, but you don't get a lot of it. And as far as sharing who we are and whatnot, you know, I get the privilege of hanging out with you guys, right? But you guys all, you know, our whole coaching staff gets to hang out with you guys, and these are great men. These are good men. Like, when a young person can't play ball or decides not to, I feel so sorry for them because they don't get to hang out with men like Larry Cooper, Leith Lynch, Greg Finstad, you know, the list goes,
yeah, no,
right? You know, back in the day, Lyle Wozniacki, you know, there's great guys out there, right? Mm-hmm. And so our language, or, you know, if people want to hear what we have to say, I think we're just a little paint on the chassis because you guys are great chassis, but like the way you guys go live your lives, that's our language in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
some ways, right? Like, you know, can't take a lot of credit for it. You guys, you know, it's been an association, and like you change us.
Yeah,
you guys change us. Like I'm a different guy than I was 2 years ago. Like everything's fluid.
You're
you can't
always
stay
growing.
static. Yeah. Well, you're always around new people, and you're always learning. You haven't shut everything down.
Yeah.
As soon as you shut down, you're dying.
It's important
right?
to keep learning.
Yeah, no kidding.
For sure.
100%. It must mean a lot to you having all the guys like the last, basically our last 2 grad years with Kyle, and like all those guys taking over the JV program. Like that must kind of be like a dream come true sort of deal.
Yes. That is. It's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch. It's fun to watch the relationships. I love watching the creativity out there. You know, we talked about, like, our goals here at Barsby is, you know, keep staying true to our roots, our soul, like what our value system is, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I like to think that they soaked up a lot of that, but they also took some of their life's experience and their values and found a more perfect union, so to speak, and then are out there leading from the front, right?
Yeah.
And to see all those young fellas, and they're men, you know, I always think I call people kids, but they're not kids, right? Just watching them coach yesterday, or watching a practice, and looking at the younger people that are working with them, your heart swells.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
it's gobsmacking sometimes. You're just like, wow. That's,
Yeah. Big nostalgia kicks, I'm sure, because even I, like, when I hear Kyle yelling and I see him walking up the sideline, I'm picturing a grade 9 playoff game, and Kyle's yelling, walking up the sideline, and I'm like, "This is what's going on here?" Like,
it's crazy because, like, me and Kyle, we used to play Pee Wee together, like, back then, like, on that field. Now he's coaching that. It's just nuts to see him on there. It's crazy, mind blowing.
Oh yeah, you know, and look at, you got Kyle, you got Justin Cook, you got Duck, you got Brody, you got Tyler Harvey, you got Ryan Decker. I mean,
Parker Bowles was
Parker
there.
Bowles, yeah,
the list goes.
I mean, the list goes, and you feel horrible if you ever miss a name in this thing. If I ever miss a name, folks,
we love you.
but it's that right there. I started coaching when I was 21.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right? Coach Cooper, same age, 20, 21, right? And so every now and then you get this little bit of an urge to say, okay, yeah, maybe just kind of ask them if they do this or that. And like, no, back off, give them their space.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're trained.
They're learning.
If they come ask you for something, fine, right? But they're going out there, and that synergy, that energy that they all bring to it, and the pride is reflected in the kids. Like, that's good football I was watching yesterday afternoon.
Yeah. It's reflected in all of us, all the kids growing up. Basically, that the program does instill good values in all of us right away. It makes us work hard. It gives us some good values to at least shape and mold ourselves too after we graduate and everything.
It's a crucible. The program is a place where, you know, the word cadre that you would see on the back of the shirts every now and then? It's a highly trained center. That's what that means in Latin.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Okay, like a staff or a group of people.
Always wondered. 5-6 years, coach. I've been just sitting here scratching my head.
Well, like the hardcore, like in the Vietnam War, they always used to talk about the Viet Cong cadre. Like, these are the guys that would train the guerrillas up to fight the most modern, meanest, biggest army on earth, right?
Yeah.
To a standstill. Okay, that's cadre, right? So our program is really, if you look at it, it's a set of ideas in a framework with physical challenges and mental challenges, where people from all different walks of life go in there, and, you know, iron sharpens iron, right? You go there and hone your skills and find your strengths and face your fears and weaknesses, and you emerge a different person.
Yeah.
So just that brings out a lot of great things and a great diversity of people, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. And on that note, you know what? We're probably going to wrap it up here because I think we're almost out of time.
Okay.
So, Coach, thanks so much for coming on the Strat O Cast.
Yeah,
this
thank
was
you.
Awesome.
It was a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks again, Coach.
Yep.
And if you guys like the thing, it's give us a like, follow, whatever. We're going to be on YouTube. Everything from now is going to be on YouTube. We're on Facebook page, the Strat O Cast. Check it out. And we're
working
doing an
on it.
alumni page and everything.
Yeah. Give them the guns, guys. Give them the guns.
Coach, give me the guns. Nice.